Hey everyone, Evan Kirstel here. Today we're talking about a region of the world I'm really keen on learning more about with a global innovation and communications powerhouse called Mitel. Terrence and Ricky, how are you?
Very well, thanks.
Yes,
Well,
very well.
great to have you
Thanks, Evan.
here from the other side of the world. So we're dealing with many time zone changes. You're calling in from the future in Australia and New Zealand region, and really excited to have a chat about business in your neck of the woods. Before that, Terrence, if you could introduce yourself and your role at Mitel, and how do you describe Mitel these days?
Mitel is an exciting place to be in, and I'm privileged to be leading the team down in Australia and New Zealand, and we also cover the South Pacific countries like Papua New Guinea and Fiji. And yeah, we're a tight, small team compared to the rest of the Mitel universe, but I'd like to think we punch above our weight. So we're in a very competitive market, and so yeah, we've got to be on our toes.
Brilliant. Well, Sydney, one of the most beautiful cities in the world. What a great place for you and the team at Mitel to be. And Ricky, how do you describe Ethan Global and your mission and business?
Yeah, great. Thanks, Evan. Look, we're about 25 years old. We're Australian founded, owned and operated. We're an ICT provider across varying levels. We traditional systems integration and technology procurement. But we've also provided a lot of managed and contracted services to our ICT services to our customers, including cloud and unified communications. We've been partnering with Mitel since the early noughties. And in fact, we were the first partner to deliver a cloud-hosted Mitel platform to market here in ANZ. So we've had a long and illustrious history with Mitel in this region.
Wow, sounds like a win-win partnership. Well, let's dive right in. And Terrence, I'm not familiar with the ANZ marketplace, so educate us. You have a distinct mix of business and opportunities and verticals and ways of working. How do you describe where Mitel is in the ANZ market these days?
Yeah, look, Mitel has had a long and illustrious history in this region. It was present before, our market deregulated its telecommunications industry back in the late 80s. So Mitel was around in the 70s. I'm more familiar with Mitel in the modern iteration, which is from the 2000s. But what we've ridden in the last 20 years has been, like most industries, disruption, digital disruption, cloud disruption, more recently AI disruption. And I guess what I would describe us as a company is our resilience, that adaptability, where we know in the early 2000s there were 19 vendors like us, and now serving our specific kind of unified communications and contact center, there's only about 3 or 4 left. So we know how to ride the ups and downs of the industry.
Well said. That's certainly a key requirement in communications and CX these days. And Ricky, how do you describe the marketplace from your point of view, and what's unique about ANZ versus perhaps other parts of the world?
Look, I think we're very similar to probably the US and potentially even EU, Evan. But the key difference is that we've got this massive geography of this big, massive continent with a relatively low population. And therefore, there's an intrinsic requirement to, and as a consequence, there's a lower GDP. So there's an intrinsic requirement to do less, to do more with less, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's the year of efficiency, doing more with less, getting maximum productivity out of your workforce, especially the frontline workforce. And, Terrence, what are you seeing in terms of some of the significant shifts globally, but also in your market? Is there anything that kind of is maybe a bit different about the ANZ market than other marketplaces?
Yeah. So in the world of IT or ICT vendors and technology providers, it's pretty universally acknowledged that the Australian and New Zealand markets in particular are early adopter markets. we've got pretty strong economies. We've got strong technology adoption. It's just a cultural thing because we're quite small in population size. Our infrastructure, IT infrastructure, carrier infrastructure, is all top notch. And as a result of that, many things that are introduced into the global technology market are introduced into Australia and New Zealand about anywhere between 6 months, depending on what it is, software, or even large, project releases of hardware and other technologies takes about 2 to 3 years, to be launched here before it's used elsewhere. So early adopter market, it's a fast-paced market, and we really have to keep up, with the changes pretty quickly, or else you get left behind.
Yeah, indeed. And Ricky, you've seen these changes firsthand. Of course, through COVID, the world went upside down in terms of remote work and hybrid work now, and other changes on the frontline workers side. What are you seeing in terms of the demands, requirements for those organizations, in this post-COVID area, but still in a world of working from anywhere?
Yeah, look, it really shifted the paradigm from a workplace perspective when COVID hit, and now it's all centered around role rather than location and supporting that role. And so we're seeing our customers make sure that anything that they're delivering from an ICT perspective can shift kind of seamlessly between those two environments.
Yeah, no, I think flexibility has been key, particularly, Terrence, for the verticals that Mitel serves. Maybe talk about that, because you're known as a company that goes really deep inside certain industries, whether it's government or healthcare or education, and really knowing your customers' needs there. What sort of demands are coming from your industries and verticals, and how are they maybe a little different from me here in Boston or New York?
Yeah, so to the earlier point about the fast adoption rate of technology over here, the world of UC and contact center has been disrupted here since about 2019, 2020. So even before COVID. And what that's meant is that a lot of the mass market industries, small business, have really gravitated towards multi-tenant cloud. And what that's meant is that Mitel has really dug into its roots, which is the mid-market and large enterprise space, and really doubled down on that. So healthcare and government and education, as you alluded to, are absolutely strong points for Mitel as verticals, but also blue light, emergency services, and any environment where there's a command and control need, such as mining or resources and mass transport infrastructure companies. These are the kinds of companies and organizations who really demand the type and nature of the Mitel solutions and the services that our partners like Ethan can provide. So yeah, it very much has been a case of we and Ethan adapting and being able to customize solutions for these more complex customers who we are now really more focused on compared to, say, 10 or even certainly 20 years ago.
Yeah, those days you bought a plain vanilla product and you just sort of plugged it in. And Ethan, at Ethan Global, maybe talk about what's required of a company like yours in terms of integration, services, support, network management, monitoring. I mean, what are the typical requirements you see in a deployment with Mitel?
Yeah, look, I mean, customers want to make sure that they've got resiliency in the environment that gets delivered, but they also, that we need to choose the solution that we deploy for our customers based on what their aspect is and what their approach is. Some are very, they want to be modernized. They're a cloud-first organization, so we need to build a solution that can deliver to that. But conversely, for those more complex organizations that Terrence referenced, which we are also doubling down on, there's a need for to support complex environments. There needs to be integration into some of their core business systems. Sovereignty is becoming a very much more common discussion point with a lot of these customers now. And they don't want to have outages, particularly in that environment that I described earlier, where you might have hybrid working and therefore a mobile role or employee. You need to keep those critical services going no matter where they are and what location they happen to be in.
Yeah, really, really great point. Changing gears, Terrence, I mean, Mitel traditionally known as the unified communications powerhouse, but you're also now very much in the contact center customer experience space. How's that going? What has been the entryway for you into customers for CX?
Yeah, like CX has just been evolving over the last, many years, from simple contact center in the past to what is very much a broad and varied and integrated environment now, in which we have to work very tightly with our customers and our partners, to be able to customize it, and customization is key. But the influx or the arrival and expansiveness now of AI within the CX environment is really the differentiator. From simple chatbots and the like to proper omni-channel contact centers with the AI supporting that is really transforming almost everything that we're doing. So from the partners that the partnerships that we keep, technology partners, right through to the actual integrated partners that we have, it really is a very multifaceted approach. No longer do we produce a call center or contact center from within our solutions. It's very much what our partners bring to us, technology and channel partners.
Brilliant. And you have so many new offerings and investments underway in AI and endpoints and applications. What's most exciting for you and the team? You must feel like a kid in a candy store offering all this new technology to your customers. Yeah,
absolutely. Look, I think it is down to the technology partners that we keep. Producing everything ourselves 20 years ago is now a thing of the past. To be able to keep up with a rate of change in the market, we cannot do everything ourselves, and certainly the tightness of our integrations and the closeness to our partners like Ethan really where our success is tied to going forward.
AI is changing the game of business. Will you be on the winning team? I'm Jordan Wilson, the host of the Everyday AI podcast, and your coach to help you learn the X's and O's of AI. Artificial intelligence isn't just a new player in the game, it's a new sport altogether. So if you don't quickly put AI into play, your competitors will run up the score. I've spent my whole life building winning teams, from coaching basketball to working with big players like Nike and Jordan Brand. My next move? Helping you win with Everyday AI. Listen wherever you get your podcasts or on everydayaipodcast.com. Let's tap into AI together and put points on the board.
Brilliant. And, Ricky, you're talking to business leaders, tech, IT leaders every day. What are they telling you about their plans for the next wave of investment in transformation in AI and workplace reorganization and new workflows? What's on their mind in the ANZ region?
Yeah, look, agentic AI is obviously a big discussion point, but there's a lot of organizations that haven't figured out how to truly embrace that. But what we are seeing, is the most immediate value is with AI is things like, the agent assist, call summarization capabilities, quality monitoring. But behind the scenes, we're also seeing AI support the IT operation as well. So, we're building, designing, and deploying AI capability into the way that we deliver our services so that we can ensure speedy issue resolution, provisioning and deprovisioning capabilities. These are all immediate values. But I think, future state, there's going to be a point where these things all combine into some kind of agentic AI output. but we're not there yet.
And I understand Australia has some aggressive cloud first mandates and other regulatory requirements for procurement being rolled out. What does that look like, and how are you positioning yourself and Mitel for those conversations?
Yeah, you might recall earlier I mentioned, Evan, that we were the first Mitel partner that is to bring a cloud hosted solution to market. So and that was in the early noughties. So we've been embracing the cloud for almost 2 decades now. So we're well positioned to deliver to customers that need that. But we're also seeing some customers that have kind of gone in headfirst into the cloud and realizing that maybe they haven't transformed quickly enough, or they're just not ready to be a cloud-first organization. And so there's some repatriation activities. So the key for us is to make sure that we can support them as they evolve or if they shift backwards and forwards. And we believe we're perfectly poised for that.
Brilliant. And Terrence, maybe talk about your momentum the rest of this year. What's working for you? What sort of partnerships and technology relationships are helping you win in this marketplace, in addition to obviously the amazing partnership with Ethan?
Yeah, that's a great question. In line with our adaptation to the changing demands in the marketplace, the arrival of a lot of new competitors, and our focus really on the complex large enterprise space has meant that we have significantly changed the nature and focus of our channel. We're a 100% channel business in ANZ and South Pacific, but that channel was a channel from the last 20 or 30 years that was catering for anybody and all industries. What we've done here is we've really structured our channel to be more towards the enterprise and government, and large enterprise and government at that. And so the skills that they bring, the managed services capabilities, the technical knowledge, the ability really to orchestrate and weave multiple technologies and services together is key. And then, as I mentioned earlier as well, the OEM or technology partners who go to market now with us. So globally, companies like Everbridge, ASC, Talkative, and more locally, companies like OpenIQ. We're talking about vendors who, with their deep focus and development and R&D into those specializations, that is really what is forging us ahead, whilst we maintain, the dependable, resilient, fully redundant technology platform that is almost the given. It's like the concrete pour in a building. A lot of the things that really gain the interest of a lot of customers now is that software, is that integration, and the services that our partners weave around all of that. So partnership, is probably so much more apt a term these days at how we run our business and how we go to market compared to even 5 years ago.
Brilliant. You have so many customers in the region. I'd hate to ask you for a favorite child, but any customers or wins or stories, anecdotes that might prove interesting?
Yeah. Probably the ones that stand out are our customers that have been with us for decades. And the interesting thing is what they do. And some people think, well, decades means that, you guys, must be hanging on for dear life to, whoever chose you that long ago. But quite the contrary. So I guess I'll draw the attention to a couple of industries that we're really strong at. That's education, where we have a large state-based organization with about 1,500 schools. Started off with a mixed fleet of telephone systems, in the early noughties, and and they started to standardize on Mitel, but more recently, in the last 3 or 4 years, migrated to cloud. And then now we're looking at a future where AI and bringing in things like mass notification and other technologies from those partners I mentioned are now being considered. And then the other one is retail. Similar story, retail organization that has evolved with us, stores across Australia and New Zealand, and have done the same thing. And same with residential aged care with Ethan, one of their customers who has gone the journey with Ethan and Mitel for the last 10 or more years, following the same thing. Starts off as TDM, right through to the digital era, and then into the cloud era, and then now in AI. But to see that kind of loyalty and consistency of adoption of every turn, every new introduction from Mitel, that's the kind of thing that pleases me most. That long range, long time frame customer journey.
Brilliant. And final question, Ricky, what are you excited about this year as you continue to support and secure new customer wins? What investments or opportunities are on your radar to kind of help customers transform the business? And what internally are you doing to kind of support them over the upcoming year?
Yeah, I think the thing that excites me the most, Evan, is this continual evolving complexity. Because I think with complexity comes opportunity and the ability for us to solve problems and create solutions for our customers. We love customers that do the long-term thinking and that they're thinking strategically, because we love to kind of hone outcomes for them that are going to suit them. But equally, we really love being with that customer for their journey as well, so that we can help them adapt and evolve. Whatever the ICT underpinning we're delivering to them can evolve with their change or their market change.
Brilliant. Well, this is all very intriguing. I think I'm going to ask for a site visit, to Australia, New Zealand, a brief stop in Fiji, of course. That's part of your region. Visit some customers and partners, and then take a couple of weeks vacation. In fact, I have my shirt already for that trip. Where should I go? No bias here, but after the site visit for a couple weeks vacation, where in ANZ or elsewhere, what island should I visit? Terence?
Oh, look, I'm a very biased Sydney sider, and in the next 6 months, I think they're trialing from New York to Sydney direct, so not far for you to get a direct flight. But I'm guessing my compatriots, who's a proud Queenslander, is probably going to be promoting a different location, right, Ricky?
Oh, you got to get to Queensland, Evan. It's home of the Great Barrier Reef. It's in the tropics and subtropics. It's got beautiful beaches, probably the best in Australia, or amongst the best. I can't go past Queensland, mate. Sydney's a nice place to visit, though.
Believe it or not, I'm obsessed with Australian opals and the opal mining industry. So I'm gonna get a pick and a shovel and head right out to the outback for in about 130-degree heat and find my fortune. But much more to talk about as far as that trip goes. And thanks, guys, for joining and sharing the vision and the update. Learned a lot.
Thanks, Evan.
And thanks, everyone, for listening, watching, and welcome any questions to share in the episode. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.